Yeah, so Kildare then against Down is a de facto relegation clash. It's their final game. Both teams are on 0 points. Nobody else can go down. Kildare, they've scored 355 in 4 games, conceded 985. Not great. Down conceded scored 261, conceded 1599. How do you see this one going?
I think Down need to win to stay up. I think if it's a draw, Kildare will
I'm
stay up
sorry, yeah.
on score difference. God, it's a hard enough game to call. Like, they played in the Christy Ring Cup final during COVID. Kildare, it was good. It was a good game, tight enough game, but Kildare won probably 2 scores in it at the end. And you would say on paper that Kildare are a better side, but Kildare are coming into this like shorn of confidence, and it will be, you know yourself in them relegation games that anything can happen. This is a one score game, and I wouldn't be a bit surprised if Down got the result.
It was great to have those games previewed. We didn't finish off the hurling, so we'll just go back a little bit. Kildare against Down. I mean, both teams are not going well this year, so they'll both be putting Everton into this one. Kerry against Laois as well. So you obviously watched last week. Offaly play against, or sorry, was it the week before?
No,
Offaly
it's
play
last
against.
weekend,
It was
yeah.
last weekend. So you saw Offaly beat Kerry, and I suppose you're well aware of Laois as well, a team that G took down in the first round as well. Are Laois starting to build up a little bit of momentum? Will they be fancying themselves here?
They probably are. They probably fancy themselves to get over. Kerry, even on away soil. But again, it's this whole situation of where you're relying on results elsewhere, relying on Offaly to do Laois a favour. Like, Jesus, like, not this match. That doesn't really happen.
You wouldn't give them the steam off your.
No, exactly. I believe Dan Shannon and Eamon Jackman, their 2 coaches as well, are both suspended for a month. They weren't on the sideline last weekend, and I don't think they'll be on the sideline this weekend. All stems back to the Carlow game. I don't exactly know what happened there, but they've left it out of their hands. And like, Jesus, Shane, for Laois to fall from Lee McCarthy.
And they were 7 or 8 up against Carlow in that game, weren't they?
Oh, that's turned their season around, and it's given Carlow a lifeline. At least won that game. It would be in their own hands going into this weekend, whereas it's not now. I think the most likely scenario, and the highly likely scenario, is that Carlow probably edge Offaly by a couple of points, and they play each other again in the final. But should Offaly, the only thing I say about that is Offaly put a fairly experimental team out against Laois in the last round of the Walsh Cup this year, weren't expected to do anything, ended up winning by a point or drawing. I can't remember. I think it was they won by a point, and that meant Laois weren't into the Walsh Cup final after. And maybe Offaly will produce something, but the most likely scenario is a Carlow and Offaly final again.
You don't want Offaly to produce. You want to see Offaly or Laois being stitched up here, don't you?
I'd love to see. I tell you what, I'd love to see an unbeaten season between League and Joe McDonagh. If they're able to win 13 or be unbeaten in 13 games, it'd be unbelievable.
Don't try and change the narrative on me here.
The Joe McDonagh Cup winners play the 3rd place in Leinster. So we were talking about that the last day, and the runners-up play the 3rd place in Munster. So if it was like Carlow or Offaly, would fancy their chances of hopping off whoever is 3rd in Leinster. So it's going to be interesting to see how it's played out. And there's no problems with recovery or anything like that. They're not playing the week after the Joe McDonagh either. I think it's actually 3 weeks this year. So there's a hell of a lot to play for over the next while.
If Tip don't get out of Munster, Offaly will be in the All-Ireland series longer than Tip this year, and you'll be fairly cock of the walk if that happens.
Shane, Offaly could be in the championship longer than Limerick. You just don't know. Like, you do not know. Like, it's mad to say it. That weekend of the 27th, the weekend of the McDonagh Cup final, and the final weekend in Munster and Leinster, there's going to be some amount of jiggery-pokery there, but some big teams are going to lose out.
Yeah, well, do you know what? Jiggery-pokery, that's another good one. But I think you're being disingenuous about the Laois and Offaly thing. You want to see Laois out of this, don't you? You're disingenuous. And you hate disingenuity.
I wouldn't have much time for Laois or Westmeath now. That's been honest with you. Funny enough, because Westmeath were never really a threat hurling wise growing up, I would always follow Westmeath hurling and hope that they're going to do well. But I wouldn't be a fan of Westmeath football. Whereas with Laois, wouldn't be a big fan of either their footballers or hurlers when they're coming up against us.